My name is Diana Panchik with Azur Vélo, French Riviera Cycling, and I'm here with Larry Warbasse, who recently relocated to the French Riviera and is riding with BMC for his second year. Larry, you just got back from the Volta Catalunya, where you rode in support of your team BMC. What an amazing race you guys had, with TJ Van Garderen getting third in the GC, winning stage 4, and Marcus Burghardt on the podium for second place in stage 7, not to mention several other top 10 finishes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what were your team objectives going into the race? Were you working for TJ from the beginning?
Yeah, our plan was going into the race to work for TJ. He was a little unsure of his form because he had just had to pull out of Paris-Nice due to a stomach illness. And so he wasn't sure how it was going to go, but we were pretty confident in him. And so we were going to support him as well as Samuel Sanchez, one of the big riders on our team, Spanish cyclist and 2008 Olympic champion. So we thought with both of them, one of them would surely be good. And well, they were both quite good, but we ended up riding for TJ in the end. And so, but it was always part of the plan to help TJ at that race. So.
Yeah, wow. And what about the weather? Was that part of the plan? You guys had some really crazy weather out there.
Yeah, that was definitely not expected when we went to Catalunya. Usually it's supposed to be pretty nice weather, and I did the race last year, and we had great weather the whole week pretty much. I also think they had weather in the 80s Fahrenheit, so around 25 or more Celsius for the past few weeks, and for some reason, all of a sudden, this last week, they had rain, snow, and cold. So we weren't really expecting it, but we were prepared in the end, so it worked out.
Wow.
Not always fun, but
I can only imagine. Have you ever raced in conditions like that before?
I have. Pretty much all of last spring was some of the worst conditions I've raced in, and also the year before, as an under 23, I did some races in quite horrible conditions. And so, the first few times it's really rough. It's really bad. But after a while, you start to get the hang of it, and you start to be more prepared and know how to cope with it better. And so it's funny, I was joking this last week. One of our teammates, Cadell Evans, he always looks like he's ready to go skiing when he goes out on the bike, but I realized that that's actually just him being extremely prepared for whatever's coming his way. And if snow does hit like it did last week in Catalunya, he's ready. And I tried to take a little leaf out of that book and always be prepared for something out of the ordinary. So
do you have some special tricks that you use to keep warm and dry on your bike in wet weather like that?
It's more just making sure that you have the proper equipment on you or in your rain bag. And so always in the team car behind, we have a fully stocked rain bag with all in a different assortment of gloves, different jackets, and spare shoes even. And so that way, just in case something happens, we know we're ready. And I usually would start the race with a rain jacket from Perlazumi on me, and either in my pocket or, if it was raining, wearing it. And then usually you take it off for the climb and then put it on for the descent, because we could get really cold going down. And then we also have some great neoprene gloves that Perlazumi makes that are great when it's cold, rainy, anything. And so we pretty much were kitted up with those most of the week. But yeah, some people even do some crazy things, like at the bottom of one of the climbs that it was snowing on this last week, the one TJ won, actually, Marcus, one of our teammates, Marcus Burghardt, he actually stopped at the bottom of the climb and changed everything down to his shoes and socks, just because he was so cold. So,
wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy out there sometimes, but luckily we're pretty prepared. So.
And how many wet stages did you have?
A lot, I think.
It seemed, I was watching it on TV, it seemed like every other stage
probably at least 3, if not 4. And the ones that weren't wet were still pretty cold. So
Yeah,
so
wow.
that was not ideal, but it happens.
What about after each stage? What did you do to make sure that you recovered well and stayed healthy with all that tough weather?
Um, Actually, it was pretty cool. We usually drink a sort of carbohydrate recovery drink immediately after the stage, and our soigneurs with the team, they made it hot every day, so it was a little bit like tea right when we finished, and that was really cool. So, we'd come across the line and you'd have this warm drink that tasted great,
Oh, nice.
and so that was really nice. Little power bar tea, but but yeah, it was. Usually we just try to get warm as quick as possible. We go back to the bus, take a shower. If it's a mountaintop finish, we usually have some jackets with the soigneur right at the finish line. We put those on if we have to descend to the bus, and then uh, yeah, we'll see. Depends, Usually we'll do a cool down after the stage on the trainer, but sometimes if it was when it was really cold, a lot of us just jumped in the bus because it was
warm up.
exactly. So yeah, just try to do what you usually do, plus a few other things to stay warm.
Yeah.
So.
Which stage did you find the most challenging?
Actually, I'd have to say it was the 220-kilometer stage, which on paper didn't look like it was going to be so challenging. It was probably going to be a sprint or a reduced group sprint, but everyone kind of wanted to be in the breakaway, and I remembered the start of that stage from last year was very difficult and very fast, and the breakaway took a long time to go, and so that was one of my jobs on that day, was to follow some of the moves. And so in the first hour there were just attacks flying everywhere, and I tried to be patient because it was a little bit of a false flat downhill at the start before we hit a climb, and I didn't think the breakaway would go until we hit the climb, which also suits me better. And so once we hit the climb, I just tried to follow everything, and I got in some really good moves, and it seemed like it was maybe going to go, but everything just came back right at the end, and luckily we had Marcus waiting in the wings, and he went and ended up in the breakaway, but I don't know why, but they didn't. There was a guy who was decently high on GC in the breakaway, and Katusha was not okay with letting it go, and so we ended up going hard the entire day, and almost the whole day it was single file, and so it was really difficult. It all came back together at the end, but it wasn't an easy one. So.
Wow. Well, overall, you had a really strong finish. You finished 48th in the GC, and you rode consistently strong throughout the race. Do you feel good about your early season form?
Yeah. For me, it was really nice because I was able to help TJ, our leader, quite a bit, and that was my goal this week. And so, personally, I wasn't really looking for any big result or anything. If I got in a breakaway that stuck to the line, then that would be great. But it was mostly just riding for the team, and I felt really strong on a lot of the climbs, and I noticed an unbelievable amount of progress from this race last year. So that was really cool, and I have to say I'm really happy. And, you recently said I relocated to Nice this year, and that's really helped me with training, especially for a race like Catalunya, because the climbs here are unbelievable. I mean, there's not a ton of flat, but neither was there in Catalunya. And I mean, here I can just go do these big rides with as much climbing as I want, and a different climb every day, different steepness, and it's pretty amazing. So I have to say it's been great this year so far, and I've really been happy living here in Nice, and it's really helped me with my preparation this year. So yeah, it's been great.
So how long did it take you to recover from a stage like this, a stage race like this?
Probably fully recovered would take about a week. I'm right now going to take 3 days easy and see how I feel, and then maybe 1 or 2 more, depending on how the legs are adjusting.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty tired right now, so we'll see. But yeah, just try to do a couple easy rides, go to the coffee shop, hang out, keep the feet up. So not too much. Thought about going to the beach also because it's looked pretty nice. But yeah, so around a week I'd say is optimal recovery.
So what races are next on your schedule?
Next on my schedule is Brabantse Pijl in Belgium, and that's a little bit of like an Ardennes semi-classic, and that should be a good one. Then I do Flèche Wallonne, which should be really cool, especially going with Gilbert, a former winner. I think he's actually won both of those races, so that'll be exciting to race with such a strong team. And then I go to Romandy after that to support TJ again for the overall. So that should be really cool. And then I head back to the U.S. for California, which I'm pretty excited about. So I get to do a little bit of a home race, even though California is not my home state. I still consider it a home race. So
great. Well, wish you the best of luck
Thank you.
For the rest of the season, and thanks so much for taking the time to chat.
Of course. Thanks. See you